Fox News' Brit Hume reacts to Tucker Carlson's source that said Paul Manafort and the Podesta brothers are actually the central figures in Mueller's probe of Russian interference in U.S. politics, not President Donald Trump. How could it be that all these journalists working for other news organizations have been chasing the story all these many months, and never run across any of this? Hume asked. Remarkable indeed. If all we hear about the Podestas is true, it seems to be the Democrats have been complaining about this and making all kinds of allegations about this all this time are going to be very disappointed in the outcome, Hume said on Tuesday's Tucker Carlson Tonight. From Hume's appearance, Tucker Carlson, the fact or the idea from our source that Paul Manafort was working for the Podesta group on behalf of Russian interests before running the Trump campaign changes this story completely, it seems to me. Brit Hume: it is to change completely, Tucker. It suggests that what collusion there would have been was between Paul Manafort and the Podesta group on behalf of Russian interests. And the Podesta group, these two guys, Tony and John, they lie at the heart of the Democratic Party and certainly of the Clintons and their political endeavors. So this changes the whole character and focus, and it does raise also the question, Tucker. You're coming around to getting at this now, and that's remarkable on your part to have gotten this source to come and talk to you. How could it be that all these journalists working for other news organizations have been chasing the story all these many months, and never run across any of this? Remarkable indeed. Carlson: that's exactly the point. You've been in journalism longer than I've been alive. How could the Central Front group that Manafort was representing, the money goes through the Podesta group and nobody notices? I mean, the Podesta group has 75 employees in Washington. No one has mentioned this to a journalist in the last 11 months. I find that not believable. Hume: it's pretty striking, and it suggests that the work has been done on the story has not been of the best quality, or this would have turned up. And I'd also suggest that you have a pack of journalists who are so determined to follow one storyline that they completely missed this. But this is a big deal on a lot of levels. And it is particularly noteworthy, Tucker, that we hear that Robert Mueller is on this, and it's suggested that his investigation, which might have been initially about Russian efforts to influence the election, is now much more broad-gazed effort to determine the extent and depth of Russian efforts to influence American policy going back several years. And if that's the case, and if all we hear about the Podestas is true, it seems to be the Democrats have been complaining about this and making all kinds of allegations about this all this time are going to be very disappointed in the outcome. Hume: if we look at this uranium-1 matter that is coming more and more to light, it appears that we have the Obama administration in its effort to seek a closer relationship with Russia acquiescing in a sale of materials that are strategic and that could certainly be argued placed American security interests at some risk, and all of this going on, of course, while unlike what you've just reported, this has been known for some time, but it seems to be coming into sharper focus at the moment, and will be the subject of congressional investigations going forward. So Democrats can scream a lot, and they no doubt will, that all of that is a diversion, but I'm beginning to think that those claims will ring a little hollow in light of your reporting and what else is coming out even as we speak tonight. Hume: it's striking because that dossier, even as it appeared at the time, was pretty widely recognized even among media unsympathetic to Donald Trump as scurrilous, and a lot of it was demonstrably false. So this was a pretty shabby piece of business here, and if it turns out that, as we now believe, that it was paid for in considerable measure by the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party, and of course this contained within it, Tucker, were allegations about Trump collusion with the Russians. So that tends to soil that whole allegation even further. So, the tide may be now turning in all this in political terms, and one might also hope in journalistic terms. It certainly reveals another side of this story that may be bigger and more important than these allegations, which have so far remained virtually without evidence. The allegations of collusion between the Trump campaign itself and the president, the man who is now president, and the Russians, is virtually non-existent. After all these months. And now we hear about all this other stuff. As I suggest, Tucker, the tide may now be turning on all of this, and not in a way the Democrats are going to enjoy.